So yes, as mentioned earlier, I'm running an inspiration exchange out in Pod 1. I'll come back to that at the end. I'm going to start off talking about something in particular that inspires me. Yay. And that's telephone boxes. And I know inspire might seem like quite a strong word when it comes to telephone boxes, but they do make me feel a bit funny when I see a phone box, particularly a red one, and they kind of intrigue me. And that kind of started here in Glenstriven in Scotland. That's Loch Striven there. This is on the west coast. And this is the end of the public road up the west coast of Loch Striven. That's a gate to a little private estate, and there's another one here. And I took this photograph about 12 years ago, and it seemed to me that at the time, the main users of this red telephone box was the three-man crew of the LNG Lagos that you can see across the loch. That had been laid up there for 8 years at the time. That's another story, actually, the three-man crew on there for 8 years. But it seemed to me, having met one of them, that what happened was each morning one of them would get a little boat across the loch to check their post box and maybe make a few personal calls. Because at this time they did have a mobile phone on the Lagos, but mobile phone calls were still quite expensive and they weren't allowed to use it for personal calls. So I took a photograph of it, I like the story, and I wrote down the phone number. I don't know if I thought I was going to phone the guys on to Lagos for some reason. So this is kind of where it started. Although in some ways it also started with a telephone box on Glossop Road in Sheffield a few years before this. And going down Glossop Road in Sheffield, there's a telephone box. And it was dusk, and the phone box was lit up, and there was a guy in the phone box having a conversation. And I obviously couldn't hear what he was saying, and I only saw him for 6 or 7 seconds. But I could tell from his body language and his hand gestures that what he was talking about was important. And then maybe before that, it started in a telephone box at Nether Edge Crossroads in Sheffield on a Friday morning, and I was standing in the phone box, and my then girlfriend Rachel was standing outside the phone box watching me make these phone calls. And I was rearranging my weekend plans. I was sorting out some new travel plans for the weekend because I'd had a phone call that morning on the incoming calls only telephone in my shared house telling me that actually, yes, I did need to come home to the Midlands that morning because I did need to get to the hospital that day because any later than that might be too late. And then maybe it started actually on Milking-Style Lane in Lancaster. I lived at number 1 with some of my friends, and because of our poverty and because our landlord was crap, we didn't have a phone. So we used to give out the phone number of the telephone box that was right outside our front door as our phone number, with the idea that Greg and I, who lived in the front bedrooms, would probably hear it ring. And we never did. So our friends and family reported quite a lot of conversations that involved the line, "Yes, I know it's a phone box. Will you please knock at the door of number 1 for me?" And kind of by the second half of the year, they'd given up pretty much. So it started in all of those places as well. But I think the cataloguing started here. It's my current favourite. I was very disappointed. That's the closest one to here that I'm going to show you. I think I like their potential. I like the fact that with the right set of numbers and a big enough supply of loose change, you could potentially speak to, I don't know what, 90% of the world's population. But I'm aware that in this collection there aren't any old phone boxes. There are only classic K6 cast iron red telephone boxes. I'm not interested in these flimsy modern ones that Robert De Niro can push over when he's in a bad mood, if you've seen Goodfellas. I kind of like their permanence. I've become aware this week, thinking about talking to you about phone boxes, that I picture them a lot in the rain, standing there on their own. And I've kind of become aware that what I like about them is their loyalty. And now I kind of feel sorry for them. So I am inspired by telephone boxes. And like a lot of the things that inspire me, they're pretty day-to-day. And I think we're probably all quite similar in that sense. So if you come and see me in pod 1 in any of the breaks today, I'll swap you something else that inspires me for something that inspires you. And I'll come back again at the end of the day and report back on the inspiration that we've shared. So yeah, come and see me and I'll talk to you later. Thanks very much.